Hi, I'm Ryan, and welcome back to Breakdown! So I think this is going to be like the final video in the Lights, Camera, Action, the 10-day competition chunk of Breakdown critiques. I'm going to start doing other things from this week. I have started production on a new short film I'm doing. There's going to be a lot of 3D work, so I'm probably going to start taking you through exactly how I make the 3D models, go through a little bit of 3D software, little bits and pieces like that, something a little bit different. So stay tuned next week for that. But this week, we are finally reviewing my LCA entry from 2019. Last week, Marco from Markham 3D was a great sport. He let me critique his film from last year, so I think that it is only fair that I now shred mine. So let's get stuck into it. Okay, so off the bat, this shot annoyed the shit out of me. I wanted to do a really nice chrome finish material, like you see on a lot of the Star Wars spaceships. I could not get it to work for this one. I do not know why, it just went to shit. Everything was awful about it. I tried lighting this a few different ways. I lit it just with standard lights. In the end, I think I went with a physical sun and sky, which is just like a big skybox in the 3D modeling program, which will give you pretty decent world lighting. The 3D modeling program decided to render motion blur in a little bit of a weird way, and you can see that the skybox from the 3D modeling program was a little bit of a lighter blue than the sky that I was using, so there's a weird artifact motion blur around that. I tried rendering it a few different times. I did a separate motion blur pass, but it just kind of did the same thing. Obviously, I only had 10 days to do this film, so on the third day of doing this shot, I decided that I did not care anymore, and I just wanted to get the shot finished. The smoke trail was really fun though. There's 4 different smoke emitters on there, and the ship spins purely to get the smoke trails to do something a little bit more interesting, but I'm happy with that. It looks alright. Animation's a little bit janky there. So that bag's massive. It's filmed on a green screen in the garage. Initially, when we shot, the bag was going to fall out of the sky, swing past the camera, and we'd see it flatten out on the ground. That didn't work. So this was what I managed to crop together using footage that we had from the day. It's janky. Oof. Warp stabilization. Also, the grass just changed color. Yep, that is 2 very different green levels. So for this shot, we did actually do some research to see if it was possible. And we discovered that what we did when we did our research made it difficult. From there, we did not get a chance to do more tests to make sure that other ideas would work. We were just like, okay, we did that when we did our tests, and that didn't work, so let's just do this on the day, and that will probably work. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. And this single take of this gentleman crawling out of the bag is now chopped to hell and doesn't really make any sense. So as a visual effects artist, I really wanted to do something grand as a visual effects shot to really make a statement. And again, it didn't really work. But, it is what it is. Moving on. You can see little bits of the blue screen there that the bag had a hole in the bottom. And his legs were covered with a blue screen, and then the plan was to replace the bottom of the bag. It didn't work. Didn't bother taking the blue screen out of the bag, because, maybe it's just lining now. Who cares anymore? His face is out of focus there. It's very difficult to get a shot in focus on the Ronin, and this was take number 7, I think. Overall, so we just got a take where the framing was good, and we continued from there. Tried to do a little bit of a disorientation feel with the camera spinning. I don't think the camera's spinning fast enough for it to make a difference, but that was just as fast as we could run, so it looks a little bit odd. I hate that transition so much. It's awful. There is zero establishing that we are now in a car. I should have had a car establishing shot beforehand. I really hate the song that the actor is humming. After listening to it 20 or 30 times during the edit, I have grown to hate it. That's janky as hell. Do you know where this is? Gosh, we're 52 seconds in. This is going to be a long one again, guys. I'm sorry. The yellow thing and the air freshener hanging from the windshield there, I should have framed them out because they are just really distracting. If they were a muted color, it wouldn't be too bad, but because they are the brightest thing in the frame, they stand out and it's awful. So obviously we couldn't hit the actor with a car for real. So we did 3 takes of this and I tried my hardest to stitch them together. We got one shot of the car just driving through the frame. We got a second shot where the car went up to the actor and stopped. The actor got on. We drove forward and then he stopped again and fell off. And then we got a third shot where the car was going at about 10-15 kilometers an hour with the actor on it the whole time, and then he stopped and the actor fell off a little bit more naturally from there. Declan is an amazing actor. He does all sorts of crazy stuff for my films, whether it be hit by a car, doing all sorts of random kung fu, or being painted purple to look like an alien. Declan is my go-to actor. He is absolutely fantastic. Please go and check out some of his short films. I think he's got a Facebook page. I will link something in the description where you can check out some of his work.
Do you know where this is?
Are you okay?
Yes, why?
We didn't hold the shots long enough for anything here. I didn't realize until we got back into the editing suite, but everything has just a really awful pace to it. I think the biggest issue with this film overall is pacing. This film just has so many pacing issues. It's yuck.
It really is important. Do you know where this is?
Framing on that shot's a bit nasty.
At the end of this road, you turn left, and then left again, and then you'll go over that road. There's a little roundabout, and then under the right, and then you'll be golden. And then right again.
I don't mind that. That's funny. That was improv. Well done, Michael, who's the gentleman in the car.
I'll pay you!
We had something a lot more magical dreamed up for that. We wanted to try and do a little bit more of that Kingsman style camera work where the camera would follow everything. Unfortunately, we were just in a bit too much of a rush at that stage in filming. We'd gone on for 6 hours longer than we had hoped, and we just wanted to get some shots to get a finished film. I'm happy with that transition, sound mixing wise. I'm happy with that. The car horn fading in, leading in from the sting. I'm happy with that. I hate the color correction on the boys' faces here. We actually filmed this at about 8 o'clock at night, I think, so the sun was very nearly down. We had a really bright redhead lamp shining in through the windscreen, and the color going from orange to pale on them is the strip on the windshield that kind of blocks the extra level of sun. Like the light was going through that and changing color, and it looks like they're in a sunset, but then the background does not. So color correction on this shot, trying to balance them looking pale and trying to get rid of that orange red on their forehead was really difficult. And obviously it did not work out. Also, this was my first time doing green screen through car windows. Declan's shots don't look too bad. Michael's look absolutely atrocious. Also, his makeup isn't too crash hot either. It was a very rushed job, very early in the morning, and we didn't do touch-ups for him at all. So he had that on 8 hours or so, and it got really, really nasty.
Yeah. A few thousand. So is there much farther to go?
There was a lot of that cut out. The films can only be 7 minutes long, and we were at about, after the first couple of edits, we were still around 7.5 minutes. So I had to start chopping little bits off wherever I could. And there was a part in this conversation, he's talking, this alien geologist from his planet, Sir Percival, he found a piece of this meteorite chunk that this character is looking for, and it gifted him knowledge. And we shot all of his lines, and I didn't pick up on the fact that he was just breezing over it. And it turns out later on that he didn't understand in the script that that was what was happening, and that's why he was breezing over it. Like, I wanted it to be breezed over, I guess, but because he didn't understand it either, and I didn't make it clear that that's what was happening, it was really just over everyone's heads, and it wasn't even hinted at or spoken in a way to put any emphasis on it at all, even though it needed to be casual, if that makes sense. Fun fact, in this shot, those two ornaments on the mirror are fake, and it's just a cutout from a different shot with a wiggle expression on them in After Effects to make them look like they were moving. In the reverse shots, I shook the car. In Michael's shots here, we did not. And because of that, they were just sitting there, so I cut them out, and then I made them move just to make it seem like the car was jolting around a little bit. I don't know, it's probably a lot of time to waste doing something when you've only got a 10-day time limit, but it was important to me. Oh, I love this shot so much. Declan is an action star, and I love it.
To contaminate the air, okay?
So, what does this thing look like?
Oh, you'll know it when you see it, trust me.
That shot's ugly just because it's over bright. We didn't have like an MD filter on the camera or anything. That shot was also only there because we needed to get one item in, and that item was that head right there in the background. That's just an awkward cut. That one, we didn't really frame up for it.
Do you need me to help you with anything?
That was a nice camera pan, actually.
Cool. Let me get my keep still so you can catch me finding it.
Yeah, we tried to come up with different words for things just to make him seem like an alien. So keep still is camera.
It's in here somewhere, I know.
Again, we wanted to do gags with the bag, given that it was bigger on the inside. I really wanted to see him put it on top of his head, but again, the camera, like the tracking and putting the bottom of the bag back on was a little bit difficult, so we just used the shots that were essential and did the best that I could within the time limit. Well, what was that shot? That's not even in there for like... Yeah, that shot was nasty. It wasn't even in there for that long. Also, aliens from other planets also wear bonds. Fun fact.
No? Oh.
The zoom on the back, that's great. I love that.
Come on, I'm a student.
We forgot to get a transition shot for that, which is why I had to make that janky wipe work. Nobody liked it. One of the earliest bits of feedback I got was from the cinematographer when I showed him the rough cut. He said, that looks awful. And I said, I know, but we didn't get a transitioning shot. There's nothing to kind of bridge the shot from across the street to this one. So unfortunately, it had to stay.
Frankie.
Devin.
Oh, no.
I don't need to see this from another planet.
Also, we broke the 180 rule here. So both of these shots were on the, like, from the same angle. It doesn't look like they're conversing back and forth. It just looks like it's cutting two different people in the same place. So their image is flipped. Doesn't really work due to sun direction and everything. So again, just more jank in general. Doesn't really look professional. Way too much dead space in that left-hand side of the screen there. I told the cinematographer to frame up, make it look a little bit more intimidating, so we got it from a bit of a low angle. But when we cut back to Declan from that angle, the framing's just off, and again, it doesn't look like we're switching back and forth to people. It just looks like two different shots, really amateur shots that are stitched together.
Because of the burns. Yeah.
David, again, composed the score for this. He did the wall art score in 10 days because that was initially an LCA entry. David is an absolutely amazing composer. I really wanted to do something a lot crazier with the camera in this fight scene. It came down to the cinematographer not having the time to rehearse the moves with the actors. Like, the actors got a decent amount of time to rehearse the fight scene, but we forgot that the camera needed to be moving with the fight scene, so it got to the point where the moves weren't really right, and then I took over camera, and because we were down on time, then we just ended up spinning around. But that is 6 different takes, I think, that were stitched together to make one thing. You can kind of see where they cut when it zooms right in on their backs, but, you know, some of the bits turned out alright, and overall I'm pretty happy with it.
You think we should help them?
Nah.
A lot of this scene is janky again, but I think having the score in the background helps it a little bit. That final punch didn't really land, and it's very obvious. Unfortunately, it just wasn't something that I could fix in post. And due to the nature of the fight scene, because we had to do it all in one take, we were just running super low on time, and we could not afford to do a whole nother take just to get that punch right. So it just had to be left as it is. Also forgot to get an entry shot for that. Very bad pacing on this. Framing's bad on this. There's a lot of his chest, not like his head's cut off. The lighting is just awful. It's all natural lighting.
Come on.
So to fit the briefcase in the bag, we're on the Ronin, and the actors are just walking, but that was the bag with the hole in the bottom of it, and we just dropped the briefcase onto the ground and cut the loud bang that it made on the concrete out in post-production.
Oh, hey, is this it?
Cameo.
Do you think?
This framing is really awkward again, just because we didn't get enough of a shallow depth of field on Michael's ear, so it's just something distracting in the frame now, and Declan's a little bit out of focus again. The lighting is awful. He's just too bright.
I think that's it. Oh, no. Over there. Get away.
That cut's really janky because he doesn't turn all the way around. It's implied that he does, but then it just cuts and he's already just standing there. And that was the stone giving him knowledge. It kind of makes his brain explode. So yeah, that's the film. Again, it's just one of those things. I was pushing a lot more than what we could accomplish in 10 days, and because of that, it is just really janky all around. I'm still kind of happy because, again, we got something done in 10 days. And it's another learning experience, so I can't be mad. So thank you once again for joining me as I critique another film. Like I said, next week we're going to be doing something a little bit different. If you like this video, be sure to let me know by clicking the like button. If you disliked this video, leave a comment letting me know how I can improve. And if you're a fan of the channel, if you're a fan of the breakdown series or my short films, prop build videos, please hit that subscribe button. I am really hoping to grow the channel this year, so by liking the videos, subscribing, sharing the videos around, you know, it helps get the word out there, and it's going to help grow the audience, which is what I'd love to do. Thank you very much for your time today, and I will see you next week.